AWS and what is cloud computing? The first question which comes to our mind. We have heard a lot of buzz around cloud computing, Amazon Web Services. What is it in actual? So as a part of this course, we will see what is cloud computing, what are the basic benefits of using cloud computing, who is using AWS and what are they using it for, and how can we use AWS services to run our workloads. So these are the basic questions which will be answered through this demo session. I'll also walk you through the, yep, hello.
Hi, Saurav, this is Praveen.
Hey, Praveen.
I think I have some audio problem, so I just dialed in using phone. Yeah. Actually, Saurav, I doesn't have any prior IT experience. I'm from electronics background. So I worked as an electronics engineer for 4 years in India, and later on I came here and I did masters in information systems. Yeah, I'm pretty much new to IT environment.
That is fine. No problems.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So these are the basic questions which will be answered through this demo session. So the first question, what is cloud computing? So there's a niche definition mentioned on the screen, a broad and deep platform that helps customers build sophisticated scalable applications. Now sounds very techy, right? So I want to know from you guys, what is your understanding of cloud computing? Do you have a brief of what is your idea of cloud computing?
Providing computing services or any like a software as a service, platform as a service, or infrastructure as a service, like that. So everything is moving into cloud computing, like deploying everything in the servers and just hassle-free operations like that, and no need to buy hardware stuff, everything, no need to deploy software, everything in our systems, like accessing it from the servers from anywhere in the globe, like that.
Yeah, so you pretty much described everything what cloud does. So yes, so that is basically what is cloud computing. So if you want to put it in very, very simple words or layman words, it's nothing but somebody else's computer with services pre-installed which you are using over the network. So you only pay for what you use and only for the time you use it. So think about it, if you want to do something and your laptop, suppose you want to build an application but your laptop doesn't support it because you have limited RAM, limited storage, and consider a scenario you can connect over the internet to another machine which is more powerful, and you do whatever you want to do and pay for that duration only. So you don't have to buy a new computer with more RAM and processing power to accomplish what you need. So this is what cloud offers, and that is how Amazon started its businesses. So it started its businesses in 2006, the web services business, and currently it's the biggest. It has the biggest market share in cloud computing. So why companies are adopting cloud computing AWS so quickly? So before we move to that, I want to share that there's a very interesting story about how AWS came into picture. So I'm saying story because that's what it is. There's no truth about it, but people say that Amazon, as you know, is a big e-retail company. So they were having their own systems, own servers, and they used to have a lot of servers for the peak times, like the Black Friday and rush hours during Thanksgiving and Christmas. But rest of the year, all those services and servers were lying idle. So somebody came up with an idea that why not rent out these servers or capacity through the internet to normal generic public. So that's how an idea started and AWS came into picture. But there's no truth about it. So Amazon started it as this web services business was a specific idea and was started to do web services business. It was not a backdrop of e-retail services. So it was a separate business started with this particular idea. Okay, so moving on, why companies are adopting computing on AWS so quickly? So primary reason is agility. What is agility? So you can move quickly and take quick decisions. So go 10 years, 15 years back, if you have to start a company and you, for example, you are going to create a website which will have like people coming in and clicking on stuff. So you anticipate that you will be having 1 million customers every month. So you do your capacity planning. You decide that, okay, you will need this many servers and this many storage. You will need this manpower to manage your networks and storage and servers. So there is a lot of upfront costs involved. And apart from the cost, there's a lot of effort involved, and there's a lot of risk as well. So you are anticipating based on some data which might not be true. So when you are launching your business, people are generally very optimistic. So because they have the funding and they are very optimistic about the market, that might not be the actual scenario. So there is a lot of risk involved in capacity planning. So if you're anticipating 1 million customers a month, but you only get 10,000, and you have stacked up your servers based on 1 million customers, so your capacity is getting wasted and you have invested a lot of money up front. So the basic cost of starting a business was the infrastructure cost, and that was a lot. But with AWS, you don't have to invest anything in infrastructure. So you go to the internet, you say, okay, I am anticipating 1 million customers. You do your capacity planning, you subscribe for services you need, and based on the capacity, suppose one month down the line you realize, oh, okay, I'm not using that many resources because I'm not getting that many customers. You can scale down immediately and your monthly bill will come down. So the risk involved has gone down tremendously, and that is the reason companies and startups are using AWS. So they don't have to worry about infrastructure. They don't have to worry about stacking up resources. They don't have to worry about managing those resources. They don't have to have network guys. So in a normal company, you see there's a network guy, there's a server management guy, there's a administrator who will administrate all the servers, but you don't need those people anymore because you are basically outsourcing all of that to AWS and they will manage it for you. You don't have to patch your systems. So you don't worry about anything about the infrastructure. You can focus on your business. So there are some other advantages of AWS listed here. Convert to CapEx to OpEx. What is CapEx? Is capital expenditure, and OpEx is operational expenditure. So capital expenditure, you are going away with the capital expenditure. As I mentioned, you are not investing in buying servers. You are not investing in people to manage those servers. What you are investing in is in your operations. So you are focusing on your business rather than maintaining the servers. And so basically, if you're starting a business, you are basically not from IT background. You're not IT guys. You are business people. So AWS lets them focus on their business, and AWS takes care of the IT infrastructure. Lower total cost. Uh, you would have got an idea, like, because you can plan your capacity accordingly, you can only pay for what you're using. So for example, you are doing your business in a particular time frame. For example, I am operative from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can run your servers 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and you can stop them. So you won't be charged for the time you're not running it. You won't be charged for the entire night, things like that. So it depends what you're using. So the total cost of ownership is very less while using web services. Again, capacity planning, the third point, is no need to guess the capacity. So you don't have to worry about how many servers I'll need, how many, what is the memory I'll need. With AWS, you can increase them as you go. You don't have to have them upfront in your services. Like, you can have to start with, you can have one server, and there's a feature in AWS called elastic load balancing and auto scaling. You can configure that, and as and when your traffic gets increased, it automatically will add more servers. So you don't have to worry about anything. So as your traffic increases, your business increases, it will automatically add servers to your configuration, and it will manage the capacity. So that also can be done using AWS. So no undifferentiated heavy lifting. So you don't have to, like, as I mentioned, you don't have to invest upfront in a lot of things. So that's why you don't have to do any upfront planning for that. And you can go global in minutes. So I'll share some examples in the forthcoming slides, wherein there are companies who don't own a single server, and those are multi-million-dollar companies we are talking about. So you can go global in matter of minutes. So just take an example for a mobile app. Now everybody is developing mobile app. There was like 2 to 3 years back, there was an Android era. Everybody who is not even an IT was developing Android apps, right? So if your app goes viral, you can simply, if you're launching it through AWS, you can cater millions of customers within minutes. You don't have to wait for hours, you don't have to wait for days. Consider if AWS was not there, or any other web services were not there, this was not possible. You can quickly have servers with you, you can quickly have the bandwidth, you can quickly have all the networking services, and you can go global within minutes, not even hours. So one important thing which AWS does is it has inculcated a culture of innovation. How? Because companies are now not have to worry about infrastructure. So if I have an on-premise, when I'm saying on-premise, I'm saying I have a physical server in my office, and I want to do some testing, and I want to do some experimentation. I might not be able to do that because that existing server is catering to my current business. I don't want to hamper that capacity with some testing. But now, because if you want to test something, if you want to do a proof of concept for a new customer, and you don't have bandwidth on your current on-premise infrastructure, you can quickly go to AWS, procure a system for that particular time frame, do the POC, stop it, and stop the servers. So basically, you can experiment often, and even if you fail, there's not much of risk, because you have not bought that hardware or software. You are just going to the Amazon Web Services, and you are procuring, or you are basically subscribing for that service for that time, doing your testing, recording your results, and switching it off. That's it. So you only pay for that particular duration. So it's marginal, the cost of the actual hardware. Now, who is using AWS and what are they using it for? So these are the companies, startup companies, which are on AWS. You will see a lot of lot of names which are very popular like LinkedIn. You will see Banjo, you will see True Golf. So all these companies, startup companies, started with Amazon Web Services because it's easier and it's faster. So I'll take a case study of Airbnb where they're expecting like 400 of 4 million people are hosted on any given night of 400,000. So this is their graph. So they're expecting so they were having 4 million guests by January 2013, but they grew to 15 million customers by June 2014. So there's a steep rise in the number of customers they were expecting. Now, if they were on on-premise or their own infrastructure, consider the amount of infrastructure they will have to invest in. They will have to increase their infrastructure. So there's a lot of capacity planning that has to go into this. They have to estimate that they will have 15 million customers in a matter of months or year. So see the rise in up by over 10 million in 1 year. So they're using AWS and they easily increase. So this is the number of servers. EC2 instance is nothing but Elastic Compute Cloud. So this is nothing but a physical server, or you can say a Windows machine or a Linux machine. So the number of systems they had in 2010 they had 24 and they have grown to 1,300 by 2014. And it's just on a click of a button. So they don't have to buy this service in advance. They just can subscribe as they go. So they have more capacity, just click, add more. That's it. So now they are having 1,300 by 2014. So now this is also old data. So now in 2006-17, we don't know. The number might be much more than that. So why AWS? So there are other market players in cloud computing space, which is Microsoft Azure. There is Google Cloud. Both of them came after Amazon Web Services. So Amazon Web Services obviously had the first mover advantage in the market space, and around 40% of the market share is with AWS. So there are other players which are having, like Azure is having 19% and Google Cloud is having less than 10%. And there are like very, very small patches of other players. So AWS undoubtedly is the market leader in the cloud computing space. And these are the variety of services they're offering. So they're having compute services with EC2. So this is for Airbnb, what they are using right now. They're using relational databases services, storage services using S3, DynamoDB, Elastic Cache, and Route 53. These are the services being used by Airbnb. We'll go in detail about what these services do and how they're configured and everything in our detailed classes. So Airbnb, this is a statement from them. We have a 5-person operations team. So they don't want to dedicate that 5-person operation team managing their servers and IT infrastructure. So AWS allows us to devote our resources and mind share to the core business instead of devoting that time to managing servers, networks, patching the servers and installing antivirus, things like that. This is taken care by AWS, and the actual business people can focus on their business, how to increase their business. These are the big enterprises which are on AWS. You'll see very big names here like GE, EA Sports, Toshiba, Samsung, Nokia. So these big companies are on AWS. So next few slides will tell you what AWS is being used for different companies. So these are the companies which are using AWS for development and testing. So they are testing their new environments just to check out how the new developments or deployments will work, and this is done using AWS. So LionGate is using SharePoint and SAP services. So just to do their development and testing faster, reduce the dev, test and environment costs, and reduction in operational costs. All these benefits we already discussed. These are the companies which are using AWS to test their new workloads. So anything new comes in, they first test it on AWS. Nasdaq, SunPower, Nokia, these are using AWS Cloud to supplement their existing workloads. What do we mean here is they export their data from an on-premise or a physical system in their offices to AWS for processing. So Nasdaq is using it for an analytical processing. They transfer their data to AWS and do their analytical processing there. SunPower is using it for disaster recovery. So they have their servers running in AWS with everything being copied there. So if SunPower's original system goes down, the disaster recovery will restore all the data within 2 hours. Nokia again is using it for analysis purposes. So they're transferring their data to Amazon Redshift. So Amazon Redshift is the AWS data warehousing solution. So it's a relational database which has been designed to meet data warehousing requirements. So they are transferring their data to Amazon Redshift for doing analysis. Samsung is using it to supplement their on-premise infrastructure. So what they are doing is they basically collaborate with AWS. So they have their existing systems which talk to the AWS. They do some integration in there and transfer back the data to their on-premise system for financial transactions. So there are a variety of companies. So migration existing applications. So Unilever migrated 500 web promotions in 5 months. So all these sites basically tell you that there are different reasons why each company is using AWS. So there is a lot of scope and there is a lot of opportunities, different kinds of opportunities for different companies to move over AWS. It's not just that they're moving their primary business. Some are using it for disaster recovery. Some are using it for supplementing their works, like for analysis. They don't want to do the analysis part on their on-premise system because that will hamper their current, or they will slow down their systems for the current, which are catering the current customers. They don't want to do the analysis there. They are doing it on AWS. This is just migrating their existing applications to web services. Now News Corp had 40 data centers earlier. Now they have slowly moved their systems on AWS and now they're only down to 6 data centers. So they don't have to worry about the rest of 34 data centers. They are doing that work using AWS. Now AWS is managing that. So you don't have to worry about, you can focus in your, again, the point is focus should be on your business, not on managing IT. Now these are the companies which are entirely on cloud. They don't own a single system of their own. Netflix, Kempinski, Suncorp. Now this is an interesting quote. We are a hospitality management organization, not an IT services company. So they want to focus on their main business rather than hiring IT guys to manage their systems, networks, patching the networks. All that is taken care of by AWS. So they can focus on their own business. Now, the reason why AWS is the market leader is the number of services or new features they release every year. In 2009, they had 48 features released. So these are the new features added to AWS. So in 2009 it was 48, 2011 82, 2013 280 features, and 2015 722 new features were added. So the growth and the innovation on AWS is remarkable. They have a service for whatever we do. Now, what are the different services? How do I use them to run my workloads? So this is an interesting slide. Don't go too deep in it because you might get confused because this is the first class. So what I'll discuss about is infrastructure and foundation services. We'll not go in detail about platform services. We'll just talk about these two for the sake of simplicity of this class. So infrastructure wise, Amazon has various geographic locations where it has their data centers. So when we talk about regions are basically different countries where AWS has their data centers. So there's a region for US, there's a region for Mumbai, there's a region, so there are different regions. In the next slide we'll see what are the different regions. And within regions, we have availability zones, or we call AZs. So for example, in US regions, you will have different availability zones on different geographic locations. So it's like availability zone is the physical data center where they are hosting their servers. So within US, they'll have 6 or 7 data availability zones. Say US East 1, US East 2. That's how they call them. US West 1, US West 2, US West 3. So these are the different availability zones where they have the physical data centers available. And CDN is a content delivery network. We'll get into that detail. So what are the foundation services which AWS offers? Compute. When we talk about compute, it is basically the server or the machine. It can be a Windows machine, it can be a Linux machine, which is doing the computations. Storage. So where you will store your data. What kind of data you want to store? You want to store your relational data, you want to store your files. So there are different solutions based on what you want to store. If it's, so for example, S3, Amazon S3 is the storage service for storing your files. S3 means scalable storage service. Earlier they used to call it as simple storage service. Now they have changed the name and they call it scalable storage service. So there you can store your files. So they charge per GB per year, and it's very, very cheap. And there is an archival storage called Amazon Glacier, which is again cheaper than S3, where you can archive your data. They charge an, I think, terabytes. For a terabyte, you need to pay a marginal cost. And there are relational databases. So all the major relational databases are available on AWS, like you have SQL Server, MySQL, and there are NoSQL databases also available. Security and access control. So there are various security features. How will you monitor your services? How will you make sure that, because the major concern when people move to, or the organizations move to AWS is, because it's on the internet, is it secure? So security and access control, these features basically restrict customers how they are going to connect to their environment. So there are various options, like you can connect through VPN, you can connect through direct connect, you can connect through VPC pairing. There's an identity and access management, who you can control who accesses which IPs, has access to your servers. All that can be done. Networking, how various servers interact with each other, you'll see that, and what are the various services around that. So virtual private cloud is there. How do we define a virtual private cloud? How do we get to talk different virtual private clouds among each other? How do we connect the VPN? We will see that all in networking services. Now these are platform services basically. So these are the basic services in terms of foundation. So these are the foundation of AWS. Platform services, you might be running on a compute server, you might be running a relational database, you might be running a NoSQL database or a caching or a Hadoop server or real-time processing for analysis, data workflows. You might have application services. So these are the services which are running on top of these foundation services. So take an example, you want to host a website. Okay, so you want to start your own website for your business. So what you will need for your website? You will need a web server, number one. So number one, there will be a web server which is hosting your website. Number two, there will be a database server which will hold all the data of your website, and your web server is talking to your database server in order to deliver the various things. So you want two servers. So you will go to compute services and you will basically start two servers. One is a web server, one is your database server. Now you want on a database server instance, you want to suppose use a relational database. For example, you decide to use MySQL. So you install MySQL database on one of the servers, and on the second server you are using any of your web client. Now you want these two servers to talk to each other, so you have to use your networking here. So you have to set up network so that your web server is able to talk to your database server. All right. So then you need to have security and access control. So you don't want your web server to talk to the internet, because your web server should not be accessible directly from the internet, otherwise it can be hacked. So you have to have your security and access control to prevent database from being connected from the outside world. For your web server has to be reachable from the internet. So you have to configure that security such a way that your web server can be reached through the internet, but not your database server. So you will type on your database or your web server IP, and you should be able to go to the web services front page, which is talking to your database server. So you'll see how to do that in our detailed classes. So this will be one of your hands-on exercise, like create a web server and create a database server and talk to them. How do we configure that? So these are the various geographic locations where Amazon has presence. There's a data center in Mumbai also now, so there will be a point somewhere here. So they have 4 in US, 1 in South America, 2 in UK, Australia. So these are the various geographic locations. They have 16 regions, 42 availability zones. So when I say 42 availability zones, that means 42 locations or 42 data centers and all, where they are basically hosting their actual hardware. 68 edge locations. Now what are edge locations? So there might be a scenario where you want to talk from one region to another. So there are some websites which are specific to countries. For example, you are hosting a website, or you own a restaurant in US, for example, and you want to create a website for your restaurant. So you will probably host that website in the same region or same availability zone where your restaurant lies. For example, your restaurant is in this area. So you will probably want to host your website in this region and this availability zone, so that the access to the local people are faster. But for global customers, or there might be, like, for example, gmail.com, it's being used worldwide. So there might be a scenario where you want to transfer contents from one region to another, and these 68 edge locations are basically connectivities between regions. When you want to transfer data from one region to another, so they are fast, they are connected through a fast network from region to region. So there are 68 in all edge locations. Any questions so far? Am I going too fast, or any feedback so far, or are you guys have any questions?
Yeah. Can I ask?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So, are we discussing everything about the servers like that in AWS, or anything like a developing like that, server management? So,
See, basically, what AWS is doing is it's providing you two things. It's providing you the infrastructure, and it's providing you the services to manage those infrastructure. So
oh,
if I get your question right, so we'll be seeing, yes, practically in our detailed sessions, how to start a server. So basically, after I'm done through the slides, we'll go to the Amazon infrastructure or an Amazon portal and see what are the different services. And in a detailed session, we'll see how I can start a server. And so basically, it's basically the infrastructure which is AWS is providing, and the services which are being provided are to manage those infrastructure, or manage or run over the infrastructure. For example, you need a database server. You go to Amazon. You get a server pre-installed with a database solution. So you don't have to worry about anything. So there is a pre-installed image available with, for example, MySQL database. So you can directly start a MySQL database image, and it will give you a server with Microsoft or MySQL pre-installed. You just need to connect to that database and use it. That's it.
okay.
Any other questions?
Not so far.
All right. So this is another slide which tells you a difference between the region and availability zone. So the region basically is divided or currently divided using different countries. So US is one region, UK is another region, and within that region they have different availability zones. Availability zone is nothing but your physical data center. So in US they have US East 1, US East 2, US West 1, US West 2, like that they are divided. Now, these are the certifications and accreditations for AWS. So when I'm going to AWS, so they have all these certifications done. So which shows these are some of them are security compliance certificates. So they have been audited by different organizations, and they have certified the Amazon data centers that whatever you're doing is safe, and they follow highest possible standards on their data centers, just to give the customers confidence that their data will be secured and they're dealt with high quality. Now, I'll just briefly go through these slides. So compute, store, so we'll go to the basic foundation services. We'll see what are those. We'll very briefly discuss this because it will get too technical. If it gets too technical in the demo class, we might not be able to catch up. So I'll keep it brief. So the foundation services we talk about, compute. So compute is nothing but basically a server which will give you computation power. So these are the different types of servers available. The general purpose are called M3. Compute optimized. For example, you want to run some application which will use a lot of computation power. So there's a C4 type of instances. So these are just classification of different types of instances you can choose from. So I'll give you an example. If you want a Windows server, so you go to Amazon, you choose your Windows server. For example, I want to use Windows Server 2008, and you launch it. In the second step, it'll ask you, okay, you want a Windows server, but which type of Windows server? So there will be a lot of lists for M410X, M416X, M432X. These are all server types. So there will be a C4 type, there will be I2, which is storage and IO optimized. So for example, a web server, if you're launching a web server, there will be a lot of input and output. So you want to, are you optimized? You will choose an I2 instance. GPU is graphical processing. So if you are using if you are starting a server for graphical processing, you will probably use a GPU enabled server. If you want more RAM on your server, you will use a memory optimized server. Choose a server type. So you can first choose the type of operating system or what kind of a server you will need. Second step, in the second step, you will basically choose the instance type, which will based on your need. So these are the various instance types available with Amazon. Another basic service we discuss is networking, security, and access control. So security is controlled through IAM. IAM is identity and access management. So how do you create users for your AWS console? How do you manage different users? That comes under IAM. CloudTrail is basically a logging mechanism where you are logging each and every activity which is happening on your AWS account, so that you can basically use that for debugging. If something is going wrong, you can use your CloudTrail logs to find out what's going wrong. Cloud HSM is another security mechanism. Networking, we'll see VPC is virtual private cloud. Route 53, how do you route your traffic between your servers? Direct connect is an option where you can connect your on-premise infrastructure directly through a physical line to your AWS infrastructure. We'll cover these in detail later. Now in compute also comes EC2 is basically physical server. Auto scaling is I briefly mentioned, like you want to scale up or scale down your servers based on demand. So for example, if your traffic is increasing, you want automatically to add new servers to your configuration. So you can do that using auto scaling configuration. It also helps in one of the servers goes down. So no matter it's on the internet, but servers can fail because it's a physical system somewhere lying somewhere, right? So servers might fail. So using auto scaling, you can automatically replace your unhealthy servers with healthy ones. That can be again done through auto scaling. Lambda is another feature where you can compute something or you can run scripts without using a server. So we'll discuss them in detail. I'll not go too technical in this particular session. EC2 container service and beanstalk are another compute options which you can use. We'll see them in detail. Storage, for storage basically Amazon S3, which is called scalable. Earlier it was called simple storage service. Now it's called scalable storage service. So you can store your files or any kind of data on Amazon S3. It's not a relational database, so it's basically you can say it's an empty folder. You can create a folder and put whatever you want to put there. It's generally used for backups. You can have any kind of backup. So in my experience, I've seen S3 being used for database backups. You can create your database backups in S3. You can restore from S3. Amazon Glacier is another service which is for storage, but it's used for archiving your data. So it's extremely low cost cloud archive storage service. EBS or ephemeral block storage. So it's nothing but you can, in simple terms, you can relate it to your hard disk. So what kind of a hard disk is attached to your server? So you're running a server, you have 16 GB, 32 GB or 100 GB of RAM. But what kind of a storage you have attached will also depend. So you also choose that when you are starting the system. So this is a persistent block level storage volumes used for Amazon EC2 instances. Various database options, you can have relational databases, NoSQL and caching databases. So for database services, Amazon RDS is a relational database service. Now there are various options within RDS. You can choose from a variety of databases. For example, you can choose MySQL, you can choose Oracle, things like that. Then there is a DynamoDB, and this is a NoSQL database, and Amazon Elastic Cache. For analytics, it has Hadoop, real-time, and data warehousing solutions. And these are application services. Let me quickly move to, okay, so this is one interesting slide. So I think it should have been moved up in the order, but how Amazon works is when they're working on, they're creating different services. So what they use small teams. They don't have very huge teams. They call it 2 pizza teams. So what a 2 pizza team means is the number of members in a team should be that much that can finish 2 pizzas. So how many people can eat 2 medium pizzas? So you'll see 6 to 8. So that's what they aim at. There should not be more than 6 to 8 members in a team. So each feature you see of Amazon being developed are developed by 6 to 8 member pizza teams. So Amazon Web Services plus 6 to 8 members teams, epic collaboration. So these are again the previous slide I showed you the number of services Amazon released each year. So these are the breakup of what major services were released each year. We'll go in detail about the major services in our detailed classes. So what did we see? So on-premise infrastructure, basically everything you have to lift. In Amazon, it's automatic. So basically all the upgrades and services are ready to use. You don't have to worry about doing those yourself. Now, this is important. What is the next step and how do I take it? So each one of you will be required to enroll into a AWS free trial account. So AWS has a 12-month free trial, and there's a limitation to that. So when you are enrolling on AWS, so I'll recommend every one of you to go to AWS website and register for this free trial. You can use your Amazon e-commerce account. Already you will have an Amazon.com account, right? So you can use the same account to register to your AWS Amazon Web Services account as well. So in that free tier, when you're registering for your free tier, you'll have to use your credit card. So it will I think deduct $1 and it will be refunded. It's just used to verify your credit card details. So you'll have to use a credit card. And you have to make sure that whatever services you are using are falling under free tier so that you are not billed. If you want to go for paid services, that's up to you. But I would not recommend that, but because as a part of the training, I recommend that you go for the free account and use only the services which are free. Now this slide here tells you what is free and how much is free. So Amazon EC2, you can choose a variety of servers. So there's a 750 hours per month of Linux, RHEL, SLES, these are different Linux waivers. 750 hours per month of usage. Same for Windows. T2 micro instances. Now this is important. T2 micro is the lowest configuration of servers available, and it's free. It's just a server which will offer you 8 GB of hard disk and 1 GB of RAM. Those are free. When I say free, that means you can go to you can basically subscribe to this particular server. You can use that. You can run anything from there. But when you download or upload something, that will be separately charged. But that's not again too much. So if you're running some application which is talking to the internet and getting some data or downloading some data, that will be charged separately. But that charge is also not too much. Amazon S3, you can store 5 GB of standard data, or you will get 5 GB of storage, 20,000 get request, 22,000 put request. That means you can upload data 2,000 times and you can retrieve data 20,000 times. Trusted advisor will basically tell you what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. For example, if you have a server and you are not following the security guidelines or the best practices, the trusted advisor will notify you that this is not particularly right. You can correct this in this particular fashion. So it will give you a notification based on your usage that what you should be doing and what you're not doing right. Mobile analytics, again, 100 million free events per month falls under free trial usage. Okay, I'll directly now jump to the training details. So we will go through the course content, what will be covered as a part of this training. We will set up an AWS account, not now, but as a part of the training. We will see how to set up our own account. We will give you assignments for practice. For example, how to start an EC2 instance, if you have to configure a MySQL database, how will you configure MySQL database? Security compliance things, how will you make sure that your server is not accessible from a particular IP range, things like that. So we'll do all these particular tests in our practice sessions. Then there will be test exercises, which will be surprise mostly in our classes. Give me a second. Just hold on. Okay, so, and then we'll be doing a project where we will build some infrastructure, probably a website with a database configured, how will they talk to each other. And we will do a live project. We will provide a training certificate from our end that you've completed this particular course. And we will also help you in certification preparation. We'll see what topics are asked more, what is the percentage of different topics, and what are the sample questions. So I'll go to the course content on the internet. So this is a course content divided in basically 10 modules. So getting started with AWS, we basically saw pretty much of it. What is the overview of cloud, different types of cloud models, different types of cloud services. So we saw why AWS, features of AWS key offerings. In module 2, we will see storage services and CLI. CLI is nothing but your command line interface. So currently whatever we are doing, it's through console, but we can also do it through a command line or programmatically. You'll see how we can do that. You'll see Amazon EC2 in module 3. We'll start our server and we'll see what are the different things we can do in EC2. Database services, virtual private cloud, and direct connect, this is the networking options. Elastic load balancing and auto scaling, very important topic as far as certification is concerned. So this is our module 6. Application services, AWS Lambda, Elastic Beanstalk, we'll talk about that. Route 53 management tools, we'll see what are the different management tools, CloudWatch, CloudFormation, how we use them. OpsWorks, security and identity services will be covered in module 9, and there will be a case study at the end of the project. Any questions? If no questions are there, these are the questions which are being asked to us very frequently. So you want to ask these questions or not?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, so I think Saurav can talk about these because these are the questions he has to answer very often. Saurav, you want to
Yeah,
take this or?
yeah. Thanks a lot, Madhu sir, for giving me this opportunity to call in this call. First of all, thanks a lot, guys, for joining this demo session. I hope you like our whatever Saurabh sir interact. So yes, I mean these are the some frequently asked questions which most of the time our participants will ask us, and we put it in our demo sessions. Before that, I would just like to give you the introduction about Solvexis, how we started and all would be really good. See, as you know, Mathur sir is also working professional. So Solvexis is a group of IT professionals who are working in IT industries in these projects and all. And we design our course content, materials and everything, exercises and all, which is based on our project experience. So basically, if I could answer the first question, the duration of the training course, it is more like to make you comfortable or to complete the topics which Mathur sir just saw you on our website, on our course content. So that would be the duration of the training course content depends. The duration of the training also depends how students are interacting within the training session. For each and every batch, there are different durations which we could see in our past trainings and all. Approximately 24 to 30 hours, which we put it ideally from our side, but it depends how much you are interacting with Mathur sir, how much you are taking interest in those topics and completing your assignments and discussing over the topics. So that would be the duration of the training course. Study material, yes, we are going to provide you the soft copy of study materials from our side, which would be helpful for you to get a deep dive into these topics and all. That would be, you can access. We are also going to record each and every classes, and we are providing you the access of each and every classes, which will be forever. It is not like for some 1 month or 2 months. That remains forever. We'll upload it over the cloud, and we are providing you the access of each class recordings. Any question from any one of you as of now? Bhagesh, Jay, Naresh, Praveen?
No, I get most of what you
No,
told.
no.
Thank you.
I think you need to go on mute. Hi. Okay. What happened if any one of you miss
Hello.
any particular class? Yeah. Just give me a second. I will come back to you. I think there was some audio problem. So, okay. Now, in case you guys miss with any particular class, as I told you, like first of all, you will get the recording of each and every class. Okay. Chai, I come back to you. If there is some audio problem from your end, could you please type your question for me? It would be really nice, because when we unmute, it starts echoing the audio. Okay. So in case any one of you miss any particular class, as I told you, first of all, you will have the recording of that particular class. Before the next class, you can go through the recording, and when you attend the next classes, you can interact with Mathur sir, you can interact with your trainer, and you can discuss your issues and all, and that's how we put it. What about support after the training? Yes, we are going to provide you support as well, which we call it as the training support, in which you can easily contact your trainer. You can directly drop him a mail. You can discuss your queries. If you want, it would be possible. We could set up a call as well, and we could support in that way. Right? So if you have any other question apart from these questions, which mostly asked to me, please let me know. I will update this slide as well. Yeah. Yes, please tell me.
What about consulting? If we join in a project, will you give us a backup support for us if we need?
No, that is the job support actually. That is a different thing. It's not the training support and the job support are the two different things. Training support, yeah, I mean, in terms of the job support, what you would like to ask, if I'm not wrong, and when you are actually working on a project, so are we going to provide a support on each and every requirement or not? Okay, so that is a job support. We are providing job support, but that is not a part of the training. That is a
Yeah, okay,
separate thing.
that
Yeah.
just a doubt about that.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is a separate thing. we are doing job supports. We are working closely on a daily basis with with professionals who are working in our projects, and that is a completely a different job support. Training support is something when once in a while, or when you're working, or once in a week when you're working on a project, you won't find you're finding some difficulty on the topics which we cover in a training program. On those topics, we are providing a support, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Will you help with any job opportunities too?
Yes, we do. As I told you, it's been almost 5 years we are into training, and in US market itself, we do have a couple of known consultancies where we do the marketing of our students. Our friends, our professional, our colleagues are working in market in these technologies, so we also directly refer. So at one point, yes, we do a little bit marketing for our participants.
Okay, thank you.
And for AWS, I think you don't need to do a lot of marketing. It's a hot technology in a market, and once you're certified, once you have the good and the proper knowledge on AWS, it's very easy to get a job in AWS these days.
Yeah, okay. Can you will you mention here about the cost of the training session, or can we discuss it separately?
I'll let you know. I will drop you an email. Our batch is going to start it from 30th of June, which is Tuesday morning IST timing 7 p.m. Okay. Uh, I will
Okay.
drop you an email for all the registration details and all. What you need to do if you like this demo session and you really like to join our training
Just a
batch.
correction.
Yeah, you need to.
Starting 30th of May.
Sorry, 30th of May. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm really sorry. It's 30th of May, which is Tuesday next week. And timing is 7 a.m. IST. It's a 2-hour classes each day. And you need to
Okay.
register for that. I will drop your registration details and you can go for that and you can register. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
How long? How long? How long?
Yeah. Any other question for me?
Exact time period of the training for the entire training?
Sorry, I didn't get you. Exact duration, what you're talking about?
The time duration of the training exact.
It's
Course.
2 hours,
It will be like
2
4 or
hours,
6.
2 hours each class.
Okay.
Okay. Approximately between 24 hours to 30 hours you can take.
Okay, that's fine.
That's what I mentioned on the first point, duration of the training course, right? But what my point is, we mostly focus to complete or to make you comfortable on the topics which we have on our course content on our website,
Okay.
right? I mean, it
Okay,
is
that's
not
fine.
like that if we say 24 hours, we need to finish everything within 24 hours. No, I didn't mean to say like that, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Praveen, Naresh, any other question for me? Yeah. Praveen, I can't hear you. I think there is some audio problem. Could you please type on a chat window if you have any question to me? Meanwhile, I'll take Naresh, Jay, and Bhagesh. Yeah. Naresh, you there?
I'm good on my behalf, just letting you know.
All right. Bhagesh, no, nothing from your end. You understand like this demo session and what all things we are going to
Mostly,
cover?
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Great. Uh, any other question for me, guys? Please let me know, or are we good with this?
Yeah,
Yeah, Jay.
like how big data, you do any training for that, like a big data Hadoop
Yes, we are also doing training on Big
or
Data Hadoop.
okay, okay, so, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll discuss that regarding later.
Okay, sure. So guys, I think we're done with our demo session. If you don't have any other questions for me or Mathu sir, please let us know.
Okay.
Right?
All right. Thank you guys for attending and looking forward to see you in our regular classes. So register and we will get started with the AWS.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you everyone.
Yeah. All right. So then, if you don't have any other question, we are closing this meeting. And I will share the recording of this demo session as well with you guys. I will give you the link on your email IDs. I will forward the registration details and we'll connect. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you for joining. Thanks a lot. Bye. Good day.
Thank you.